It's definitely not the kind of job you can start without some basic knowledge and some basic contacts. It's really a lot about who you know, and a lot of my contacts come through people I've worked with before. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. You know, you need to have a body of work that you can show people. This is my body of work, this is my experience, and this is who I've worked with in the past. But without having, you know, started on that, it's a pretty hard space to crack into. So I definitely recommend, you know, starting a job. I really maintain that I learnt more about being a journalist by actually going out and being a journalist than I did from any university degree, from any course, from any, you know, thing that you can read or do. I think, you know, the biggest thing is to just get out there and start doing stories, start pitching stories, watch a lot of media. And if you're trying to become a freelancer, also it really pays to look at what the need is. It's no good going into a market with 50 other freelancers doing the same thing. If that need is being met, if you can see that you have some other niche that you can offer or something else you can offer, you know, by all means do it. But generally, you know, it pays to do your research on, you know, what is needed. Go and meet with news bosses if you can get the time, and talk to them about where they would like to add coverage, what, you know, locations they want more stories from. It's those little bits of background information that could be really valuable to you when you're pitching a story.
So is there any like parting advice you would give to a person who's just graduating from journalism, or who wants to get into media, who wants to get into the broadcast field?
Look, I I have lots of advice that I could probably give. Don't expect it to be easy, but do expect it to be fun. Never give up, but don't be so persistent that newsrooms are going to think, oh, not this person again. I said to a producer who came to me at the start of the year in Thailand, and she said, look, I've moved here, I'm not going to get any work, what am I going to do? And I said to her, look, the biggest thing is just to stick it out. A lot of the time is to sit there and to know your patch. If you're not getting any story commissions, do your research. Go and meet with other journalists. They'll often be quite generous with their time and giving of advice. You know, work with people. Try not to work against them. A lot of freelancers come in and start thinking, oh, you know, I want to sell these stories, and so I'm going to take work off someone else. You know, you really do work together as a community of freelancers. There's enough stories to go around, and people will be quite generous with that, so don't abuse that. This producer that came to me and said, what am I going to do? You know, I said, really, 90% of it is just staying here and waiting for the story to happen. And if you've done your research, if you've done your background, when a big story breaks, you'll get work. Sure enough, when the red shirts happened, she was really busy and flat out, and now I employ her quite often as well. So it's definitely something that you need to stick at. Don't expect that you'll just turn up on the scene, say, here, I'm a freelancer, look what I can do, and click your fingers and get work. It's something that a lot of it is being there, meeting people, so that when something does happen and there is a need, a gap to be filled, they think, oh, that person was here and gave me their card and you know, is around. So that's important too. But like I said, it's also important to make sure that you're not unduly hassling people to the point that they're not going to use you if they do think of you. So, you know, it will always be much more. You're able to work with much more flexibility as a freelancer. You can drop in and out of stories. You can continue to follow angles after all the big news organisations have pulled out and forgotten about it. You can find things and spend time on things that people who have a full-time job may not be able to dedicate to it. So enjoy that. Use that. fill the needs and the gaps, be manoeuvrable and very flexible in what you can offer. You know, you might want to be on camera, but you know, you may be able to offer, you know, producing skills, and that might be a way in as well. It's just a matter of finding what the need is in a client and tailoring yourself to fit that need, and never really saying no when the phone rings. You know, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't feel like getting out of bed, you know, making sure that you still do bother to go those extra lengths and prove to people that you are willing to be there and you are willing to do the hard yards.
Perhaps we can end with you just telling us what your day in life was in, say, in the last 2 days, actually. What actually you did in the last 2 days, so that you get an idea what it's like.
Okay, the last 2 days I've been shooting a story in Cambodia, which was fairly stressful as the story changed quite dramatically as we arrived, and we had to adjust our needs to be able to continue to do the story. It involved a 5-hour trip out of Phnom Penh, and I worked probably 2 17-hour days. I've just spent the morning editing those stories and trying to get them out before I head to southern Thailand for a couple of stories in Pattani. So right now it's pretty manic, and generally for some of the year, most of this year actually, it has been pretty manic because Thailand's been such a news hub. However, you know, there were days when I started that I would literally just sit there willing my phone to ring, sitting by the pool going, oh no, what am I going to do? Or sitting at home, you know, use that time productively. You know, a lot of people get trapped in this sense of, oh my God, I'm not working, what am I going to do? And they really do nothing with their time. You know, I use that time to take some language courses, to try and go and have lunch with people that could be potential contacts in the future. And it's only over time that actually pays off. And like I said, a lot of it is about being in a place and sticking it out and knowing your stuff at the right time when the big stories break. But also look for ways to diversify yourself and fill those times when you don't have a great lot of cash flow. So, you know, that might be writing a blog that can generate some income. That might be selling some photos if you're a good photographer. It might be something completely different, not related to journalism, but you do need that as a backup. And when I was just starting out, I felt like I had my fingers in all sorts of different pies, and it wasn't until, you know, probably 2 years in that it started to settle and I started to have main clients and get a workflow happening. So it's nice to be at a point where I do know that work is coming in. I know I'm in a pretty privileged position as a freelancer at the moment, being so busy. Having said that, it would be nice occasionally to get a day off. And that's the other thing about being a freelancer, because you're your own boss effectively. You have to decide when to pull the pin and say, hey guys, I'm taking time off. And then there's always the fear that, oh, what if they don't call me when I get back from holidays? And you've got to get yourself back into a rhythm again. But, you know, that all just comes with time, and I really, really enjoy what I do. I would recommend that people do it. As I said, don't expect it to be easy, but it can be immensely rewarding.